First is, what is multigrade?
Multigrade education is an educational system that allows students of different ages, abilities, and grades to learn together in the same classroom. This approach promotes collaboration, peer mentoring, and mutual learning between students of different ages and backgrounds. The main goal of multigrade is to improve the quality of education in under-reserved or rural areas where it is not feasible to have separate classrooms for each grade level. In the book Multigrade Teaching, a review of research and practice, Dr. Rogers provides an overview of the various approaches to multigrade education, as well as the challenges and opportunities associated with this teaching method. He argues that multigrade education can be an effective way to provide quality education to students in rural or underserved areas, but it requires careful planning, training, and support for teachers. On the other hand, in the year 1999, a book Multigrade Teaching, a review of research and practice from Colin Power, he defines that multigrade education as a term used to describe the situation where a single teacher is responsible for teaching two or more grade levels simultaneously within a classroom setting. Yeah. Some authors, Cynthia Landgreen and Karen L. Anderson, in their 2017 book Teaching and Learning in Multigrade Classrooms, Landgreen and Anderson, they define multigrade education as an approach to instruction where a single teacher is responsible for two or more grade levels of students within the same classroom. Another proponent, Alan Rogers, has also written extensively on multigrade education in his 2002 book. He defined that multigrade education as the organization of teaching and learning within a classroom while children of different ages, levels of achievement, and learning styles are taught together by one teacher. In overall, multigrade education is an educational system in which a teacher is responsible for teaching students of different ages, abilities, and grade levels in the same classroom. Instead of having separate classrooms for each grade level, multigrade education promotes collaboration, peer mentoring, and mutual learning between students at different ages and backgrounds.
Number 2.
The concept of multigrade education has been around for many years and has been a subject of research and discussion among scholars and educators. Here are some key findings and perspective on the concept. First is benefits of multigrade education. So multigrade education can promote collaboration, peer mentoring, and mutual learning between students of different ages and backgrounds. It can also provide opportunities for older students to mentor younger ones and for younger students to learn from older ones. So multigrade education can be an effective way to provide quality educations to students in rural or underserved areas where it may not be feasible to have separate classrooms for each grade level. Second is challenges of multigrade education. Multigrade education poses challenges for teachers who must manage a wide range of abilities and learning needs in the same classroom. Teachers in multigrade classroom must be skilled at adapting their teaching to the needs of individual students while maintaining a coherent and effective curriculum for all students. It can also be more difficult to implement in urban areas where schools may have limited sources or where there is a need for more specialization instruction. Third is approaches to multigrade education. Subject-based instruction involves teaching the same subject to students of different grade levels at different times during the day. Theme-based instruction involves teaching different subjects around a common theme, allowing students of different grade levels to work together on a project or activity. Fourth is impact of multigrade. So research on the impact of multigrade education on student learning has produced mixed results. Some studies have found that multigrade education can have a positive impact on student achievement, while others have found no significant difference in student outcomes compared to single grade classrooms. Factors that may influence the impact of multigrade education on student learning include teacher training and support, curriculum design, and the quality of classroom instruction. Overall, multigrade education is a complex and multifaceted concept that requires careful planning, training, and support for teachers to be effective. While it has potential benefits for students in rural or underserved areas, its impact on student learning may depend on a variety of factors. The history of multigrade education can be traced back to the early years of formal education, when one-room schoolhouses were common in many rural areas. These schools typically had only one teacher who was responsible for teaching students of all ages and grade levels in the same classroom. This approach to education was born out of necessity, as it was simply not practical or cost-effective to build separate schools for each grade level in sparsely populated areas. As urbanization and increased funding for education lead to the construction of larger, more specialized schools in the late 19th and early 20th century, multigrade education began to decline. However, it continued to be used in many rural and remote areas, particularly in developing countries where resources were limited. In the mid-20th century, multigrade education began to experience a revival in some parts of the world. Proponents argued that it could provide a more personalized learning experience, better foster a sense of community and collaboration among students of different ages, and allow for more individualized instruction. This revival was driven in part by a recognition that multigrade education could be a more effective and flexible approach to education than traditional single-grade classrooms. Today, multigrade education is used in many different settings around the world, from rural areas in developing countries to small schools in remote areas of developed countries. While there is still debate about the effectiveness of multigrade education compared to the two traditional single-grade classrooms, many educators and policymakers continue to see it as a viable and important approach to education in certain contexts. So that is the history of multigrade education. Okay, so let's proceed to the pros and cons of multigrade education. So for the pros, first is collaboration. Multigrade classrooms can provide opportunities for students of different ages and abilities to work together and learn from one another, which can foster a sense of community and promote social and emotional development. Second is there will be a less effort for a teacher and less money to spend in preparing visual aids because the teacher can utilize the visual aids for the entire class of multigrade. The third one is personalized learning. In multigrade classrooms, teachers can adapt their teaching to the individual needs and abilities of each student, rather than teaching to a predetermined curriculum for a particular grade level, this can lead to a more personalized learning experience for students. So that is the cons of multigrade education. So let's proceed to the cons or the disadvantages. So the first is lack of resources. Multi-grade classes often have limited resources such as textbooks, technology, and classroom materials, which can negatively impact the quality of education provided. Second is overburdened teachers. Multi-grade teachers are often responsible for teaching multiple grade levels simultaneously, which can lead to high workload and burnout. And third is limited instructional time. Multi-grade classes may have limited instructional time as teachers may need to divide their attention in instruction among different grade levels. And then another is inadequate curriculum. Multi-grade classes may have difficulty implementing a standardized curriculum, leading to gaps in student learning and preparedness for higher grade levels. So in overall, multi-grade classes can be a viable option for providing education in areas where there are limited resources, but they may also present challenges for both students and teachers.